Ooh, I like the speckles on the camera from being in the sun. Okay. Hi guys, welcome back. Today I am reflecting a little bit on change, the fact that change is inevitable. So this is something that I've been reflecting on for the past few days as I've kind of just been recovering from my meltdown, my rock bottom, my difficult life stage, my difficult season. I think I always like to see like those difficult periods of time in my life as a season, because obviously those times don't last forever, even though when we're in them they feel like they are going to last forever. So I was just reflecting on the fact that change is constant, and I have discussed this before in terms of understanding contrast, understanding duality. Our reality as humans is full of contrast, right? So contrast being, for example, having day and night, having good and bad, having winter and summer. Like it's about change, and it's about embracing change and the fact that change is constant throughout our lives. We are aging, we are going through different life stages at all times. Basically, we are always in a different life stage over time. And so it's about embracing change and not getting so caught up in it. And so this is something that I was reflecting on, because recently I have hit rock bottom. I felt like I was in a very, very scary place recently. You know, when I hit rock bottom, everything in my life felt like it was kind of falling apart all at once. I was reflecting on 3 different concepts around this rock bottom and recovering from rock bottom. And what I've realized is that when things start to crumble and structures start to fall apart, or we lose people, or we lose things, or we lose things that we thought we, you know, had stability in, oftentimes that feels very overwhelming, and it feels like the world is falling apart, and it feels like we don't know what to do, and it can often get like hopeless. So I was just thinking about the idea of the crumbling. I think when things crumble and when things fall apart, I think that that's a natural part of reality. I think that that's a natural part of things changing. I mean, if you think about a tree going over the seasons, it will, you know, shed its leaves in winter, and then it will make new leaves in spring and in summer, and it will grow in summer, and it will go through a new phase of life, right? So we are the same as humans. We are always going through new phases of life. We are always going through growth and through change. And the more we get stuck around that change, the more we resist the change, the more difficult it's going to get. And so this is what I was reflecting on. We struggle with change as humans because we like what is familiar to us, and so change often takes us out of our comfort zone. It makes us feel very uncomfortable. A part of change is that certain things are going to fall away so that new things can emerge in your life. So for example, if you unexpectedly lose a job, or you unexpectedly lose someone close to you, or something starts to go wrong in your life that kind of makes you feel like you are losing something, we often cling to that because we are familiar with it and we're attached to it. And so change can sometimes be very difficult for us, and if we don't embrace change, we will cling to that thing that we are losing, or we perceive to be losing. And the more we cling to it, the more difficult it's going to get for us, the more we're going to suffer, because we're clinging to something that is busy falling apart, essentially, that is busy changing, and we're not busy embracing the change, we're busy resisting the change, right? So when we get thrown off during the process of change, it's easy to get thrown off because you don't really feel stable. You're lurking in unfamiliar territory. There's a lot of uncertainty, you know, when we are in the middle of change. When we are going through a life change, it can be very overwhelming for us because we are completely uncomfortable. We've got no sense of stability at that time. And so we identify so much with the thing that we were busy losing. So let's say you were a lawyer, and you know, that's the identity that you built for yourself, that you're a lawyer, but all of a sudden you're doing law and you don't enjoy it, and you're miserable every day. You can obviously imagine that that would be a bit overwhelming, to have to adapt to the fact that you thought you were going to be a lawyer and you thought you were going to love it, and then all of a sudden you don't like it, and it's like, oh no, right? Like everything will seem very overwhelming, but you don't know what lies ahead. You don't know that you're being redirected to something better, maybe something that is meant for you, because if you don't enjoy it, then there is something else out there for you. You just have to find it, right? What I did find helps in terms of understanding that things crumble, things fall apart. It's a natural part of reality that things are going to always be changing, and change is inevitable. We can't resist change because change is constant, and change is often how we grow, right? So it's about going through life's changes with grace and with ease. And how do we do that? Firstly, we need to accept that change is constant. And if we accept that change is constant, then we won't try to hold on to things staying the same forever. We will be able to let go of that story that we were telling ourselves. So I'm a lawyer and people are going to respect me because I'm a lawyer, and being a lawyer is what I was meant to do, right? If you believe that narrative, and if you were telling everyone that narrative, and all of a sudden you come to realize that this is actually not true, it is going to be uncomfortable to realize that, and it is going to be difficult to let go of that identity of being a lawyer. If you know, for example, that now you want to be an artist, it's going to take a bit of change to, you know, go through that transition. And so often when we are going through a change, we need to let go of the old version of ourselves, or of the old story, or of the relationship, or of the job, or whatever it is that we were attached to, that we thought was ours because we were identifying so much with that story. Understanding that change is constant, accepting that change has come, and if things are falling apart, then it means that something better might be on its way for you. And I think this is where faith comes in. Having faith, you know, that basically the universe is working in your favor. God is looking after you, and having faith that everything will work out for the best, you know. So even if things seem like they're falling apart and you feel like you're being, you know, victimized, and that you're not getting your way, and that your life sucks, that's not true. You're just clinging to what is familiar, and the idea of losing what is familiar can often be very scary for us. We try to control the change, and we resist the change that's happening because we want this old thing to stay the way it is, because we're so attached to it. But if we just let go of the old, we will be making space for something new and potentially something better, right? So again, it's that fear of uncertainty. It's letting go of what we know, letting go of what is familiar, and embracing the uncertainty that comes in change, and trusting that whatever comes next is going to be better for you. Whatever comes next is going to be even better, right, than you would ever expect. But in the middle of change, we don't feel that way. We only feel that way when we see the blessing come up, right? So it's important to keep the faith, and to understand that when something is taken away from you, when you lose something, it's because something better might be on its way for you. That thing wasn't meant for you if it is busy making its way out of your life, basically. So it's about trusting, and it's about understanding that you might just be redirected right now. You need to trust God. You need to trust the universe. You need to trust what's happening in order to have that faith that something better is on its way for you, and that will help you to not attach so much to this thing that you're busy clinging to. And so again, when you understand that change is constant, and that God is just busy redirecting you, whatever challenge you're facing, that is just redirecting you to what is meant for you. What you can focus on instead is accepting that change has come, because if change is happening in your life and you resist it, you're just resisting what is already happening, and so you're fighting with something that has already happened, and so you're resisting the change. But instead, what you could do is just accept that change is constant, and basically just ride the wave. Just try to stay positive, and, you know, mourn what you need to mourn. So if you lost a job, or a relationship, or a friendship, or whatever it is that's falling apart, you need to feel that loss, you need to let go of it, and then you need to basically focus on what you can control, which is your response to the situation, and focusing on redirecting that energy that you were spending in those places and on those things that were not for you, redirecting that energy to yourself, redirecting that to finding joy in your life again, doing things that you enjoy, doing things that inspire you. Life is just full of growth, and now that you've shed that old version of yourself, you've made space for something new, you know. And oftentimes when we're holding on to things and we're clinging to things that aren't meant for us, we're giving a lot of energy to something because we're trying to force it, because we're resisting the change. And so the more you force things, the more resistance you create. And so it's really about understanding that it's okay, change is constant, and being prepared for change to always be constant so that you don't get thrown off as much. And in doing that, in redirecting your energy, instead of stressing and clinging and holding on to this thing and trying to control this thing, letting go of it and redirecting that energy to yourself, to finding that peace and joy and fulfillment within yourself again, instead of whatever it is that you were busy clinging to. So just like a snake or just like a butterfly that goes through that transition, you have to shed the old version of yourself to become the new. And when we're going through that change, things are going to fall apart. The old things are going to crumble so that they can be replaced by the new things, right? So the old version of you, when you shed that old version of yourself with all those old thoughts, those old patterns, those old habits, those old beliefs, it's literally like a snake shedding its skin. You become a new and improved version of yourself, and then you're going to keep growing. So as you grow through the first challenge, there's going to be new challenges waiting on the other side, because your evolution is constant. And so it's about embracing the change. It's about embracing the growth, and again understanding that change is uncomfortable and growth is uncomfortable, but it's always worth it, and you always do come out the other side stronger, right? As long as you stay aware of that, and as long as you have faith that things are working out for the better, you'll be able to stay in a bit more of a centered place, and you won't get thrown off your center as much. And I think that that's something that's definitely happened for me. You know, I was definitely thrown off my center when I saw everything in my life kind of starting to crumble around me. And I think the meditation that I had to sit and force through that meditation so that I could just get back into the habit, because I know meditation is always the thing that makes me feel better, but oftentimes my meditation gets very challenging when I'm not in a good place. So I had to sit and force myself to just sit there through it, and that is when I had this amazing realization, you know, that everything is okay. And so even though things are falling apart, I need to have faith that that's happening for a reason, and that the things that are falling apart, the things that are falling away, are going to be replaced by something even better. And so try to let go, try not to attach too much and cling too much to the things that are busy falling apart, because you need to have faith that what's coming is going to be even better. So yeah, I think that's just been my most recent reflection. So understanding that things fall apart, things are going to crumble, that's just part of change. Accepting it and letting go of whatever attachment or narrative you had to the thing that you've lost, and understanding that you're just being redirected. Change is just redirection to something else that's better for you. And so try not to take it personally, try not to get too attached to the old, and grieve, you know, if you need to grieve whatever you've lost, and you need to let yourself feel what you're feeling. But there comes a point when we need to understand that change is constant, growth is constant, and outgrowing old versions of yourself, of your life, of the people in your life, it is uncomfortable, but it's normal. So thank you so much for being here with me, and until my next video, I'm sending you so much peace and love.